Hello and welcome to your monthly horoscope for April for the Sun or the Ascendant. Now I'm going to give you a broad overview of what to expect before diving deep and exploring each of the 12 zodiac signs in forensic detail. So please stay with me for that analysis. Now the big takeout of this month is that we have 2 new moons, and when this happens, the second is known as the Black Moon. The first new moon is on the 1st in the go-getting sign of Aries, but it combines with Mercury, the planet of ideas, the planet of communication. Aries energy is about initiation and fresh starts. Let's hope some fresh energy is coming through in a constructive way for us all. The second new moon is in Taurus, the next sign on from Aries, because the Sun moves on into Taurus on the 20th. Now this one is in a sextile with the ruler of Aries, Mars. But Mars moves into the sign of Pisces on the 15th. Now Mars moving through Pisces can be a very meditative, or our actions can be very much behind the scenes. Sometimes people who are involved in enterprises such as mining or deep sea diving have Mars in Pisces in their natal chart. So we can expect some things going on behind the scenes that could be positive. And Mars is also in a conjunction with Saturn in the first 9 days. Now Mars in Capricorn, as it was, especially in its conjunction with Pluto, which became exact on the 3rd of March, is a very, very challenging influence. And we know that there has been an outbreak of violence in the very heart of Europe, which is deeply troubling. But once Mars moved on the 6th of March into the sign of Aquarius, and now at the start of this month is combining with the co-ruler of Aquarius, Saturn, there's a much greater desire, I think, collectively to try to get things working in a way which may not be perfect, but is certainly better than that real fight for power that has been imposed at, the latter end of February and the early parts of March. And one of the very uplifting parts of this month's energies is that Neptune and Jupiter, the 2 co-regents of Pisces, are in a conjunction within 3 degrees through the whole month. And on the 12th, that becomes absolutely exact. I think that that can be a very healing dimension. I really pray so. Also, Venus moves into Aries on the 5th. Now, Venus in Aries is, to be honest, in detriment. But I actually have always liked Venus in Aries because I think it gives us an impulse to try to relate. To take the first move, not to sit back and wait. So for me, that can be very positive. But on the 11th, Mercury does move from Aries into the sign of Taurus. Now it is going to be clashing with Pluto from the 9th through to the 12th. And that clash of Plutonian energy still in the sign of Capricorn through to 23, part-time goes into Aquarius, then moves into Aquarius in 24, and we really get the start of the Aquarius age, I feel. But we also have the Sun mirroring the right angle with Pluto at the heart of this month, and then that brings in the full moon on the 16th in the sign of Libra. So we have a T-square going between Pluto, the Sun and the moon. And I think that's going to be an interesting point of how there's a pushback against power being used in the wrong way. And the combination of Neptune and Jupiter, which after all, Jupiter is about hope, Neptune can be about healing, but in their home signs, I'm really hoping that there will be a fundamental pushback at the heart of this month, which does see an improvement in Central Europe. Now on the 20th, we do see the Sun, as I mentioned before, moving into Taurus, and then on the 29th, Pluto slams on the brakes. So obviously Uranus was still in retrograde at the start of this year, but this is the first of the big beasts going into their annual retrogrades, and it's going to go on until the 7th of October. This is going to be really interesting, I feel, because the sign of Capricorn is about old power. The sign of Aquarius is much more about taking the best of that old power, but being enlightened about new techniques, being more inclusive. So Pluto going into a retrograde will be interesting for certain political strands in the world. You know, people who've held power in a much more authoritarian way could retreat, or perhaps just reset their purposes. But on the 29th, Mercury does move into its home zone of Gemini, and that can be a really brilliant point for much more communication starting to ping around. Also, the 30th, that wonderful Taurus new moon is in a very positive angle with Mars, suggesting that if we actually take the best of what we already know, or what's been evolving over a very long period of time, which is Mars coming through in its journey. Obviously it moves at the heart of this month into the sign of Pisces, so by the end of May it's going to be readying to go into Gemini, where it's going to be for the rest of the year, because it goes through, and into the first months of next year, because it goes through a retrograde. But I think that what we're going to see as this month comes to a close is much more constructive, workable ways of approaching some of the transitions that may have gone on this month. Now, if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for listening so far. Please, I'd be delighted if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. And if you'd like to get your free written daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, please subscribe on the link below. It'd be great to have you with me. And also, if you'd like to get your 12-month forecast and character analysis based on your time, date and place of birth, and ascend above your zodiac sign, and really get much greater understanding of what makes you tick and your potentials in the time ahead, there is 30% off with my special offer. Please see the link for that below too. Hello Gemini, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for April, and what an exciting month is in store for your sign. This month begins with the new moon in the sign of Aries, which for you is sector 11, house 11. 11 is very much to do with the future. It's to do with our highest aspirations. It can be to do with friendship, sports, especially team sports. And because Mercury, the planet of communication and your ruler, is closely aligned to this particular new moon, your mental agility and ability to think on your feet quickly is really given a massive boost as you crash into this new month. But there's more, because there's an awful lot of energy this month in house 10, very much to do with goals, ambitions, success and aiming high. And Jupiter, the ruler of house 10 for you, is also in a glorious alliance with Neptune, the other ruler of the sign of Pisces, for the whole of this month. So if you're someone with a message, and that message in some way is linked to philosophies, high ideals, healing, helping others, you really have a glorious opportunity to springboard forwards this month. But it has to be said, for the first 9 days, Mars is in a conjunction with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, which of course is your sister air sign. This is house 9, very much to do with adventurism, publishing, learning, teaching, training. Can be travel. Saturn of course can be inhibiting. Mars can be impatient. Put the two together, we need to be very focused. So if there's something you're doing in those areas, don't scatter yourself too thinly. Narrow your focus, and then your energies will be that much more effective. Now also, there is on the 5th a transition of Venus from the sign of Aquarius into the sign of Pisces, house 10 for you. So it can be a case of who as much as what you know this month. And any influential collaborations, networks you belong to, associations of people can prove to be incredibly valuable. However, on the 11th, Mercury moves out of the sign of Aries and into the sign of Taurus. Here it's joining the North Node, but also the more restless energies of Uranus. And in fact, from the 16th to the 20th, Mercury is going to be in a conjunction with Uranus. And I think you might expect to find sleep a little harder to come across those days. Also, from the 9th to the 12th, Mercury squaring with Pluto. There could be a bit of an argument that brews. Maybe you feel that someone's not recognising your talents or even respecting your principles as much as you would like, and it could be over a financial or contractual matter. However, on the 12th, Jupiter's conjunction with Neptune that goes on all this month within 3 degrees becomes exact. A good piece of news could come to you about a business or professional matter or a life aim around that time. The 15th sees Mars power into the sign of Pisces. Now, Mars in Pisces for you is going to give you a lot more authority and self-confidence to showcase your ideas and showcase your talents. If you're someone who works in performance, for example, this is manna from heaven. And the next 6 weeks, right through to the end of May, can really see you raising your profile, being much more dynamic, garnering a lot more acclaim, credit and recognition. Mars in this sector though, Mars in the sign of Pisces can be very much to do with subterranean things. So if you do work in a healing environment, this can be very positive for you. But Mars in the 10th house can make us a little more egocentric. But that might not be a bad thing if you really need to power forwards. But that combination of energy in your 12th house that comes with Mercury, Uranus and the North Node is not one that you should forget, because remember, Uranus and Saturn was the prominent aspect of last year in their square and at the start of this year too. And they're going to come back into a square in the middle of August, pretty well to the end of the year. And of course, Mars is going to be moving into your sign at the end of May. And then it's going to go through a big retrograde, but it will be in your sign through till March of 23. So that's very exciting to look forward to, because I think this energy in the 12th house just suggests that it's important you get rest, it's important that you look after your nervous system, that you get in some gentle exercise, that you give yourself time to deal with any of the strains, because all of this is providing so many opportunities. It almost may be hard to sit still and really give yourself permission to just unwind, chill out, let it all go. We all know that that can be very difficult to do in this frantic world that we live in. Now on the 16th, there is the full moon. Now this full moon for you is in the sister air sign of Libra. So you could find yourself with, over the second half of this month, some choices to make around your time management. Everybody may want a piece of you, which is very flattering, and that's a lovely situation to have. But with Pluto in the mix, I think Pluto's helping you to see things in a much more psychological way these days. So whether it is friendship, whether it is talents, whether it even is romantically, Pluto keeps taking you back to what's the value, what's the worth, what does it mean at a much deeper rooted level. It's a very Scorpion influence in the 8th house, and of course it is the higher octave ruler of the sign of Scorpio. So although this 5th, 11th house axis on the full moon could be about balancing your pleasures, your interests, your friendships, your love life, pivoting between them is the depth and psychology of Pluto, so just bear that in mind. On the 20th, however, the Sun dives deep, joining up with Mercury, joining up with the North Node and joining up with Uranus in your 12th house. And this is your time of the year just to take some time to reflect. You know, the world has been going through such an epic time with COVID, Ukraine, the floods in Australia, you know, the cost of living crisis, the cost of fuel. It's been a lot to digest, and I feel that a very sparky, vibrant, effervescent sign like you are, maybe you're buzzing from it all, and it's all, very stimulating to try to deal with what's going on in your own situation and the environment in general, it would be no harm at all to have some time to just meditate, go for some quiet walks by the sea, by a river, have some therapeutic treatments, perhaps have a spa treatment. The 12th house for you is brilliant to touch or be around water or any kind of healing. Now, the 29th sees Pluto go retrograde, so the next 4 or 5 months, the value of things, even in a financial context or a spiritual or devoted or sexual context, is really going to become markedly more important to you. But the 29th also sees your ruler arrive in your sign. And however much you've spent the previous 10 days being a little bit more in tune with the deeper side of your nature, I think Mercury moving into your sign can see your sense of humour, your spark, your more outgoing side come back into focus. But then we have the Black Moon on the 30th, and that's combining in a sextile with Mars in your sector of success. So I think really and truly, the things you do behind the scenes, or past skills, experiences and knowledges that you've accumulated over a long period of time, don't underestimate them, because Mars is pushing you, remember, to garner the limelight, to seek acclaim, to raise your chin, like a Shakespearean actor, and pull the audience towards you. And that's what that new moon's about, but staying in touch with the more psychological side of your nature and your situation. But with Mercury moving into the first house, I just think things will move forwards a bit speedier, a bit more in a more agile way for you to demonstrate your skill set so wonderfully well. Please stay safe, take care, and goodbye.